Hi guys, I'm Comrade Kane, and today we're going to talk about national parks. What is national park and what is its value? National park is a four-tile improvement. It provides tourism equal to the total value of appeal for each of the tiles it is built on. You can get the appeal value of the tile by hovering over it. So in this case, we have four tiles where three of the tiles have 4 appeal and one of the tiles has 5 appeal. In sum, it's 17. However, the number is modified to make it 25. The appeal effects can be modified by the computer's technology and environmentalism civic that each add 25% tourism to all yield across your empire. So a simple math where we add 25% and another 25% to our 17 default value for the park will actually add up to 25 tourism generated as shown by the game. The world's first national park earns +4 era score, and each subsequent one +3. Additionally, each national park provides 2 amenities to the city that owns it and 1 amenity to the 4 closest cities. These bonuses stack with each park. So if a city owns a park and is close enough to the other 2 parks, then it would receive a total of +4 amenities. This could be quite powerful in the game to get your cities to the ecstatic level of happiness, which is achieved with at least +5 amenities per city. Ecstatic level of happiness increases all of the city's yields by 20%. It's food production, gold, etc. High amenities will play an important role in other types of victories like science or domination, where production is one of the more important factors. How to build a national park? Now that we know that national park brings quite a bit of benefits, let's understand how to build it as it has an interesting criteria list. First of all, you need a Naturalist unit, which is unlocked by Conservation Civic and costs 600 faith for your first unit. Selecting the unit will highlight the eligible tiles. The tiles must form a vertical diamond shape. All tiles for the national park must have an appeal rating of charming, which is +2 or better. All 4 of the tiles must be owned by the same city, and it is easy enough to change the ownership of the tiles. No tile should have a district or improvement on it. Improvements should be removed. Once the improvement is removed, you should be able to see the highlighted tiles for the park. And the naturalist must be able to stand on one of those tiles to build the park. What is a naturalist unit? So you need faith to buy naturalist units who can build parks in the first place. That means you have to consider building holy sites and the corresponding buildings like shrine, which produces 2 faith, and temple that produces 4 faith. Holy sites is one of the first 2 districts you can build in the game, and if you can get a religion and enhance your faith with other faith-generating beliefs, then you should have no trouble accumulating enough of it for multiple naturalist units later on. Personally, I would plan to save faith for this purpose and use it as soon as Naturalist is unlocked. The earlier you build the parks, the earlier you can generate tourism and put pressure on the other civs. It is important to note that each unit costs 600 faith, and the cost increases by 100 faith with every new Naturalist unit produced. Note that Canada is the only civ in the game that has Mountie, the unique light cavalry unit that has 2 build charges to construct national parks, and it does not need faith. Selecting the unit will highlight the eligible park locations. But how do we know what locations are eligible before we discover conservation and unlock Naturalist unit? Here is where the tile appeal analysis comes into play. Remember that the park requires the appeal to be charming or breathtaking, which starts at +2 appeal and can go up as high as 8 or more. Let's use the default appeal lens to view the tile's appeal value. All tiles start with a default value of 0 and then are modified by the terrain type. Mountain and natural wonder tiles get breathtaking appeal by default, so most park locations would be along those types of tiles. Marshes, floodplains, and rainforests get -1 appeal by default. All tiles adjacent to mountains, coast, woods, oases, or next to rivers and lakes will get +1 appeal. So a rainforest tile with -1 appeal next to a mountain, which has +1, and woods, which has another +1, would actually be +1 appeal. Sometimes you can find the park locations right away by identifying those dark and light green tiles, breathtaking and charming. Other times, you might have to give it a bit of thought, because we can increase or decrease the appeal value of a tile by taking certain actions. You can increase the appeal of tiles by building certain districts like Holy Site, Theater Square, Entertainment Complex and Water Park, dam and canals, as well as preserves. You can also build improvements such as city park and ice hockey rinks, which give +2 appeal, and other ones like Chateau, Paradise, Golf Course, Rockin' Church, and Nazca lines. Removing improvements like removing mines, quarries, oil wells, and rigs will actually increase the appeal of adjacent tiles. You can also increase the appeal by clearing the marshes and rainforests that carry -1 appeal. So adjacent tiles will get the increased appeal, but not the tiles themselves. Conservation Civic will allow planting of woods using builders. So adjacent tiles will get +1 appeal. All growth woods, meaning the ones that you didn't plant but they were there from the beginning of the game, will gain +1 appeal for the tile they're on. It's very important to remember. So if you chop a lot of woods, well, you're going to lose that appeal. If you preserve them, there's a chance that you can use it to build a park. Every wonder will increase the appeal of surrounding adjacent tiles. But the Eiffel Tower will provide +2 appeal bonus to every tile in your territory. The Golden Gate Bridge will provide +4 appeal to tiles owned by the city that builds it. Then in turn, we have the things that reduce the appeal of the tiles. So it's mostly building districts and improvements. And districts like industrial zone, encampment, aerodrome, and spaceport, and improvements like mine, quarries, oil wells, and oil rigs. All appeal modifiers are cumulative, so the positive ones can add up to a possible +8 for a breathtaking tile. Certain civilizations have appeal baked into their traits, like Brazil alters the appeal of rainforest in its territory from -1 to +1. Rainforests within their territory can boost appeal of the tiles outside of their land. America, with Bull Moose Teddy, grants +1 appeal to every tile in a city with a national park. Every tile gets a +1 appeal. And Australia gains additional yield bonuses from theater squares, holy sites, commercial hubs, and campuses placed on tiles with high appeal. +1 for charming, +3 for breathtaking. And then we have great people, Oliver Aalto, who is both of them are great engineers, and Charles Correa. They come with different eras and provide +1 and +2 appeal bonuses, respectively, to the tiles owned by the city in which they use their unique ability. So in this game, I just wanted to go over the planning ideas for the park and how to analyze the tiles and locations, right? So we're going to use the appeal lens, but I would also advise you to get more lenses mode that has a naturalist lens. And what it does, it will highlight the tiles, I think the same way that the naturalist will highlight them, but even more, because it will give you guidance onto what is needed to improve the tiles to make sure that they qualify for the park. Now, for this purpose, I'm just going to use our regular appeal lens, and immediately we can see, the mountains. Around the mountains, we have plenty of breathtaking and charming tiles, right? The green ones, that's what we're looking for. So some of these parks locations are already in place basically. Like for example, this one, right? I mean, I have the vertical diamond shape here. I even have it here if I wanted to, or right here. But in this case, for example, these are olives. It's a luxury resource you can't remove. And so I will have to actually remove it. Removing the improvement is not going to impact the number of build charges. It's more like repairing, where you don't use a build charge. So right now I have a naturalist already here. When you click on the naturalist, it should highlight qualified placements for the park. Right now I only have these two. And you can see that with antiquity site on the park tile, potential park tile, you can still build it. And you can actually still excavate the artifact in the park once it's already built. So we know that these tiles should qualify, and the only reason they don't qualify right now is because of this improvement. So all we have to do is remove the improvement, and boom, here's the park. Now, the second point I wanted to make is remember we said that the tourism output is based on the value of each tile in the park. So we want those tiles to have as high of a value as possible. In this case, I know I can plant woods here, right? Especially with Vietnam, you can plant woods early and plan ahead. With conservation, existing woods, like this one is old growth, you can see it in the dialog window right there. These type of tiles will get a +1 appeal once we research the conservation. You can see allows builders to plant woods, but also woods in your territory that have never been removed, old growth, will gain +1 appeal, which is awesome. So this tile used to be just 2, now it's 3. What we could do here is plant woods on this tile and will become +4. So in this case, we are ready, but like I mentioned, let's just build a couple of woods rather. Ideally, I would want to excavate the artifact, right? And then plant woods here, again elevating the appeal. But I mean, it's taken too long. The earlier you place the parks, the better. The earlier you attract the visitors from the other civs for your cultural victory, the better. Now, in this case, let's turn the appeal lens on again. I can see that, first of all, I want to make sure that these tiles that we're looking at are owned by the park, right? If they're outside of the 3 tile ring that the park can work, like for example, these mountain tiles, that's way too far. 1, 2, 3, they're out of range. So even if I own these tiles, probably soon because of my culture expansion, I won't be able to build this park here. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't qualify. But in this case, I already have 3 tiles ready. The only tiles that's missing to qualify for the park, to build the park, is this one at the bottom. And it has an appeal of -1. So what can we do? The easiest thing is just to plant woods right all around it. And so that's what I'm going to do. Plant woods, and guess what? Now it's 0. Plant woods, and now it's 1. Still does not qualify, but all we have to do is plant another woods here, and it will make it +2. Now, I would also plant woods here and probably here after removing the wheat, so that I maximize the appeal value of these tiles that are adjacent. And the good thing is about the woods, you can still build lumber mills, which will not impact the appeal value at all. So don't worry about losing production. Or for example, if you had a mine here, which would impact adjacent tiles negatively, you can always remove it. You can put it back on once you build the park. I mean, obviously it will reduce the appeal, but if this resource was an important one, like a strategic, like uranium or aluminum or something like that, and you needed it, you can always build a mine and drop the value of these tiles. Even if they went negative, like below charming, the park would still be there. And so we wanted to make sure we have woods everywhere, right? And we still can't build the park because, again, ownership. Ownership is an instance where it happens quite often. You're like, why can't I build the park? So boom, here's our first park, +4 error score. Excellent. I mean, this park is generating 16 tourism, right? So, I mean, I guess they're all 5 plus 9 and 5, 14, and 2, 16. Perfect. Now, you could increase the appeal value of this one by removing the mine. And maybe, I don't think you can plant woods on iron, can you? It's interesting. I think it's good enough. Here's another case where we look at the appeal through the appeal lens at the map, and there are so many options, right? First of all, you can build a park on a tile that has a district, but there is a mod called removable districts, and so it will allow you to remove districts. But what you want to do, because holy sites and campuses, right, the highest adjacency bonus you get is around mountains, so this is kind of an opportunity cost you have to like consider. For example, I left this tile in and instead built a campus here, so I lost a little bit of science, but this is a cultural game, so it's not as important to me, especially considering I have these two here that produce plenty of science. So in this case, I'm like, okay, what tiles can I improve to get the park going immediately? And you know what? Use the pins. Like I use pins all the time. And this is what I decided to do because, for example, these tiles will be impossible to improve to the value that I need. Like for example, this one is -1. I would have to build, I would need 3 more points, right, to get it to 2. No, it is not possible. That's 2 points. I need 3 points. It would need to build some kind of a district. I could remove a quarry here. So technically it's possible, but these are usable tiles, you know? Mountains are not usable tiles. So I'm like, you know what? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So all I have to do is improve this one, and it just needs 2 points. And the way I can improve it, basically just planting woods right here. 1, 2. I don't even have to remove my improvements. Oh, because there is an improvement. You still have to remove the improvement. Duh. See, that's one of those things. One of those things. So technically, I didn't have to plant these woods. I could have just removed the improvement and planted woods, and it would elevate this tile's appeal just as much. Okay. Now, this guy, we need to remove the improvement, harvest the stone, and then build the park. So in this case, I planted put the pins on here because, I mean, this park is already ready. It has 3 breathtaking tiles, which is 4 and 4 and another charming. So in order to qualify, because obviously it doesn't qualify right now, I have to remove the improvements. Here is one, here's another one, and here's one more. Guess what? Well, guess what? It's probably not owned by this park. Yep. So we change ownership, go back, boom, here's the park. Now, what I want to do though, before I build this park, I want to harvest the bananas. Because once you build the park, you can harvest bonus resources. So you definitely want to do that. And guess what? The next step for me here would be to plant woods here and increase the value for this tile. A lot of micromanagement. In this case, we're pretty much ready. We want to harvest the bananas. Oh, we can remove the rainforest and harvest the resource. Do both. Do both. And wait. And here I want to remove the farm and plant more woods to increase the appeal of this tile, neighboring tile. So as you can see, this tile is +4 appeal. Plant woods, it should become +5, and it does. Okay, now, right now this tile is 6. I want to remove rainforest. Technically, it should become, it's still 6. I was under the impression that it would actually increase. But that's okay. We can plant woods and increase the appeal here. Next case is actually very interesting. So I planted my pins here because I'm using like a couple of mountain tiles, so I didn't want to take up space. I can't use these tiles, right? It's out of range for the cities. So unfortunately, this diamond shape that could have been a perfect park, can't reach it. So I have to move in a little bit, right? And you kind of want to squeeze them in to make it work, because if I could build the park here, but then I will take up these tiles, usable tiles. So I'm like, you know what? I'll move it into the, I mean, I could move it in and actually use this tile for a district, like a holy site or a campus, technically. So it's actually, it's your choice. In this case, though, I want to move this park here. But guess what happens? The game tells me I have no improvements here. All these tiles are owned by the park, the city. But the game forces the selection into this spot. Why does it do that? I don't know. I don't know, because they overlap, I guess. But the only option that we have is to make one of the tiles that the game selected ineligible by, for example, building an improvement. And guess what? Boom. All of a sudden, this location that we were looking for to begin with became eligible. And the first thing we want to do before we build the park there is remove deer. Okay, so we want to harvest. Okay. We want to plant more woods here. Right? Now we have breathtaking tiles of 7 and 7. And mountain tiles are not impacted by the improvements that we're trying to do for the appeal. Next case. So here we have 4 mountains, for example, right? Can't build a park, right? Naturalists cannot stand on any of these tiles to actually build the park, so that's ineligible. But I have this park, which is ready. This one is ready, but guess what? I think rainforest is detrimental, right? Has a negative impact on the park, so I'm going to chop it, get some production for the city or food, whatever it does. Actually, we could probably tell. And then build the park. Here we want to remove. Now here, oh, we can't plant woods on the damn antiquity site. That's too bad. And our naturalist is pretty expensive now because I feel like I have like 5 of them or something like that. So. And the last, well, not least actually, is this location that's pretty much ready. It's pretty much ready, but it's not selecting. The game is not selecting it yet because it's not qualified. Why? Well, first of all, we don't even own this tile, so we have to buy it, or I'll just expand it into turns. Let's just make sure. Oh, see, we don't own this tile because of this city, so we're gonna switch ownership, and then we're gonna have to remove stone. We're gonna have to harvest the stone to make it work. And the last one that I wanted to show is this location here. So there are a couple of things, right? So I placed my pins. I don't own this tile. The Netherlands is right there. I don't think they can buy tiles, but I want to make sure I own it. Still no good. So let's check the appeal. I'm missing the appeal for this tile is too low. So what can we do? Well, right, it's right next to the marshes. And the marshes tile will decrease the appeal of the adjacent tiles by 1. So the first thing we do is just remove it. And guess what? This one was 0, now it's 1. This thing is still disgusting. Uninviting. So the next thing I'm going to do is just plant a bunch of woods. Here, 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 everywhere. Not just because of this tile, but because of all the rest of the tiles, which will increase the appeal of adjacent tiles as I plant woods. And in this case, the guy is almost ready. Still not qualified because of this tile. So if we plant woods right now, boom, elevates the appeal by 1. And we can build the park right now, but actually, you know what? I'll build the park right now, even though I don't have the sheep here, just for the purposes, because I want to show you that you actually can plant woods after you build park. That's kind of weird. So next part gets +3 our score. But here I wanted to show you that I can still plant woods in the park. How awesome. Boing. And now this tile should be 2. Well, no, not this tile. The surrounding tiles, okay? Adjacent tiles gain appeal. This one does not itself. New woods, right? Second growth, it's called, does not gain the appeal. Old growth gets +1 appeal after conservation. Remember that. So here we are almost basically done. We just wanted to plant more woods, make sure that this tile is up to breathtaking, and then build the park. Perfect. Well, you know, I wanted to see if I can build. I cannot plant woods on this tile, on the strategic resource, but guess what? Say you need that strategic resource or uranium appeared here, right, instead of iron. And you're like, holy crap, I need to build a death robot to take out my neighbor. Well, then you can just build a mine. The park is still here, but guess what? This tile, it's average now. Doesn't qualify for the... Does it qualify for the tourism? Let's see. So 4, 9, I have 13, 14. Is that the output for this park? Is 14? Yes, generating 14. So it still generates, the tourism is still generated by this lonely 1-point tile, which is awesome. It's perfect. Okay, here we wanted to harvest the resource because right now these tiles do not qualify. But guess what? I don't have naturalists, so might as well wait. In this case, we are already all set. Build the park. And we're still prepping. I mean, this site is ready. Actually, I want to get the artifact extracted once I have the archaeologist done and build more parks. And guess what? This tile right here, breathtaking 4 right now, but I'll build the park and remove this rainforest and plant woods here. This is going to be 5 or 6 even, because I'm going to remove rainforest, right? If I build a water park here, but like this city can build a water park, that's going to add another one. So it'll become like it will have an appeal value of like 8. I wish Trajan rather, did not build the freaking encampment here, because this, I I want to say that your neighbors, right, districts also impact my tiles. Not 100% sure, but I think that's the case. So this is pretty much it. Um, these are our parks that start to generate some tourism very early. As you can see, the park with high appeal value tiles generating 22, whereas like the low appeal tile generates 14, which is like 8 points less, which is pretty significant over the course of the time. So you want to max out. You want to max out the value of the tiles. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and like. I have other videos in the works and also on my channel that are pretty cool. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time.